From the Frank Irwin Center in Austin, Texas, the referees for this Arkansas-Dayton game, Dick Paparo will toss it up. He's working alongside Rusty Herring and David Bear. We're ready to go. The winner to move along to take on North Carolina in Dallas.
Bad toss, ball thrown over their head.
Arkansas, the better seed, so they'll wear their home whites. And they come down with Day nailing the first shot. Todd Day out of Memphis puts the Razorbacks up by 2, and now the full court pressure. These teams will mirror each other. The question is, can Dayton play at this tempo against another team? We're about to find out. Bingo! They tie it up on Anthony Corbett's jumper. So it's 3-2 on that first basket by Day. Was a 3-point shot. So it is 3-2 Arkansas.
Brent, it'll be a great matchup. Corbett and Howell, two players that are not the kind of guys you recruit out of high school to be big stars, but two workman-like players who get the most out of their ability.
Miguel Knight, number 32, the man to watch for the Flyers, gets a screen. Nice confident dribble, comes down to the baseline, drew the first foul, no shot. That came after the foul. First personal against Arkansas.
Well, you can see what Dayton's doing early on, because Arkansas likes to switch. They're setting solid screens out high, which puts Bowers in a situation that if they do switch, he can't get back on the quicker Knight.
So Bowers with the game's first personal. Underneath, they get an easy field goal for Nolan Robinson.
Credit trying to go ahead and play for the block. Not a wise move. Here we see the zone defense. Day will try to find himself a spot.
Bowers, rebound by Dayton. Robinson, the 6'5" senior, pulling it down. And here is Knight again. His first 3. Arkansas at the glass, and Day traveled when he went down. Dayton ball underneath its own basket.
Fred Day, the MVP of the Southwest Conference tournament. All-conference performer, obviously, and sure to be an All-American before he gets out of Arkansas. He's a great one.
This is Ray Springer, number 11. Great reverse dribble. Got himself on the inside. Coffey could not get the handle. Well, he'd be coming up for a 3-point try.
At this stage, if you're Nolan Richardson, you have to be a little bit concerned. Dayton is penetrating with the dribble on every occasion.
Boy, they look real good here, Billy.
Well, it's not a very big team. It's interesting, a mid-major club, as there you see Jimmy O'Brien on the sideline. Sometimes list their players 1.5 inches taller than they really are. It's not a very big team, but you remember the last Dayton's club that did well in the NCAA was only 6'4" on average.
Jim O'Brien having upset Illinois already in this tournament, although don't use the word upset with him. He felt very confident coming into that game. Not so in this one. He said they're going to have their hands full before this one's over. It's 6-3. Dayton jumps out. Oh, shades of Roosevelt Chapman. Folks back home in Dayton, remember that.
Good low dribble by Bowers.
Dropping into Credit. He gets it right back. And he'll come to the line.
Mario Credit had a monster game in the NCAA tournament against Loyola Marymount, and he's the guy that they'd like to get off early.
So Coffey committing his first personal, and Credit with a field goal. Comes to the line out of Kansas City, 6'9" senior. There are 2 seniors on this starting 5 for the Razorbacks. So this is a club with a great future ahead of them. Nolan Richardson has put together a splendid program at Arkansas. Knight bringing the ball up against pressure, and he turns it over.
Great double team that time by Day. And Bowers moved his feet extremely well to stay with Knight, who's been beating people one-on-one.
Now that's what Arkansas does, that pressure defense. They force turnovers all game long. Day at the offensive end with a great look-away pass, and alertly running it down is Ray Springer. Very aggressive defense by Arkansas right now, and stepping on the inside is Knight. Great pass to Coffey for the layup. Oh, Knight did a spectacular job that time getting on the inside.
They're beating the one-on-one defense on almost every occasion.
Day banks one in. 5 points for the game. He hit a 3 to start it.
Day's grown a couple inches since he got to Arkansas. He's got that soft jump shot. Getting penetration at will.
Dayton is shooting layups right now. Nolan Robinson coming in for an easy field goal. 10-8. Dayton leads it. Ball knocked out of bounds, and that was Robinson who got a hand on it.
Brent, so far you find there's Credit getting beat on a one-on-one dribble. Arkansas has not stopped anybody with penetration so far. Not what Nolan Richardson would like at all.
Jim O'Brien uses the Rick Pitino system, and he's just as animated on the sideline as Lindsey Howell drains the second three-point field goal for Arkansas. And against the double team, they quickly get it up to the attack. Robinson rims out. Coffey can't handle. Loose, run down by Dayton. Getting loose balls now, and they pull it back on the inside for that short jump shot by Robinson.
You're looking at a club that was 12-17 last year, playing a much slower tempo.
And Dayton missing, but Credit underneath comes back up and drew the foul before the shot, according to Paparo. That one underway. A great guard matchup there. Kenny Anderson of Georgia Tech and Chris Jackson of LSU. And Sam Howard is going to be checking in also. So two subs come in. That's Alex Robertson. He was the first recruit by Jim O'Brien. There's Howard, the 6'8 junior.
Jim O'Brien substitutes along the pattern of NBA type coaching and thinking. At certain times in the game, he'll substitute regardless of the situation. If you play this type of up-tempo game, you've got to do that.
And Credit fires the Razorbacks into a one-point lead here with 16:40 to go. This is Knight. Getting inside on the penetration and gets it to roll. You know, he plays with great poise, confidence, and he's extremely aggressive, Billy. This was our first opportunity to see him, and I was really curious about him. And I can tell you right away, he looks like a point guard to me.
Well, he's a great player. 4 out of 7 weeks, he was named Conference Player of the Week. So he has been on some tear the last.
Look at that spin away
2 weeks.
Day get on the inside. Put down by Anthony Corbett, the 6'6 senior from Dayton's Patterson High School.
I don't think that Arkansas anticipated this kind of run against them. They're a much better defensive club than what they're showing right now, and you have to credit Dayton with all of that penetration. Nice scoop shot.
Scoop inside, and then Credit goes back for 2 efforts, and the second one falls for him. So Mario Credit is off with a 7-point start here in the early going.
Robertson at 6'3", not big enough to handle him inside.
Knight will take that 3. Short, Arkansas ball. Lead now to Day, coming into the paint. Nicely done.
But I think the situation is such that you have Dayton playing under Arkansas and Arkansas playing over the top of Dayton.
Offensive foul is the call after he traveled. So we've got our first break. Everybody take a breath. When you come back, we've got 15-11 in the first half.
Every 500 years or so, an exceptional printer comes along. Introducing the IBM laser printer with a revolutionary design that will make it the new standard for years to come. The IBM laser printer. Suddenly, nothing else measures up. In redefining the laser printer, IBM made it 33% smaller, with 60% fewer parts than the old standard. Could that be the reason it's also 25% faster? The IBM laser printer. Suddenly, nothing else measures up.
Yea, there comes a time in the life of a man and a woman when they must assume the responsibilities of adulthood and leave behind those toys of youth, which though they may runneth fast and give pleasure to the soul, yet leave no room for family.
The Mitsubishi Galant Sports Sedan. It's not only fast and gives pleasure to the soul, it leaves plenty of room for family. Yay. For added pleasure, factory-to-dealer incentives can save you up to $1,000.
Who gives you guaranteed morning delivery in the U.S. for just $8.75?
We deliver.
Delivery to over 95 countries worldwide for just $10.75.
We deliver.
With 46,000 drop-off points coast to coast.
We deliver.
Only express mail service from your post office. Because when it comes to sending it overnight or overseas,
We deliver for you.
Gene Barry as Matt Masterson, Hugh O'Brien as Wyatt Earp, John Schneider as Pat Garrett. Legends unite to save Lee Horsley in Paradise. A gathering of guns tonight at 9.
Thursday night against Illinois, this was Norm Greavy of the Flyers, and Steve Bardo took it to him with the clothesline, and he suffered a painful hip bruise, which will keep him out of the Flyers lineup. And that is a tremendous blow to their attack, because off the bench, he's averaged almost 10 points a game. It's a familiar name. His brother Kevin, a standout at Kentucky and later in the NBA. So the Flyers are definitely going to be shorthanded, and David Bradds will have to pick up some of the slack, and he's out on the floor right now, number 3. And the foul goes against Day as Bradds drew the charge, so he contributes right away, Billy.
Bradds, of course, you mentioned the heritage there, 13-3, big lead, LSU on the move here, but you talk about the heritage of Kevin Greavy and Norm, and Bradds, his father, Gary, an outstanding player at Ohio State, still holds some major records there, 2-time All-American.
This is Bradds holding the ball right now. Knight is still on the floor with him. Robertson is number 24, and they have Corbett down on the inside, along with Sam Howard. So with this up-tempo attack, Dayton frequently goes to his bench for Coach O'Brien. Bradds confidently steps inside and hits the shot.
The real problem for Arkansas today, they're not committed to defense, which is really getting them in trouble. Excellent hands by Miller, but not a good idea on the pass.
That's Oliver Miller, their 6'9" sophomore center. There was more than that, folks, a few months ago. He weighed in at 300 pounds, much to Coach Richardson's dismay. Now he's down to a svelte 275, and yesterday here in the arena, he kept looking for some sodas back there when practice was over.
Yeah, but he's quick off his feet, has excellent hands, and he can carry an awful lot of weight. Maybe that 255 or 60 would be great, but best shot blocker in their league.
At that time, he came out on Howard, and the Razorbacks come down, trailing it by a point. Mayberry, with great skills, covered well by Brad.
Good touch pass.
Right back to Day, who rises with the jump shot, and then Miller goes for the rebound. Just how you described him, Billy.
He has great hands.
He traveled. Flyers ball.
You're looking at a travel by Mayberry, who has the best turnover assist ratio in the United States.
Flyers have forced 6 turnovers by Arkansas in the early going. We got 13-49.
Not unusual for this club, and I think that Dayton right now is committed much more to playing their game than is Arkansas theirs. Arkansas, a much more talented ball club, but not doing the job with effort.
Springer giving Knight a break, and there's the big fellow over his head. A little too dangerous that time. Brad's retreated.
Arkansas back into the zone with Miller down inside.
Brad's moves in, and there is Miller again, and Howard underneath has it stripped, and the Razorbacks come out. Day dribbles it up to the attack. Takes the jump shot.
Push.
And the foul going against the Flyers.
Menzie Howell had excellent position, but Howard pushed him from the back. That caught.
Really, it's kind of interesting in an arena like this as the Flyers go to their bench again and Knight returns. Interesting that after a major upset like the one we just witnessed, that the crowd, it takes time for them to settle back in. There's no home team right here, and it's going to be as difficult for Texas fans to pull for Arkansas as it was for Oklahoma, but rather quiet, submissive right now. That'll pick up in the second half if the Flyers stay in this one.
Kind of took their breath away, particularly the way that last game ended.
Stunning first game as Ron Hury, the 6'7" junior, number 31, just handled the ball. He checked in for Coach Richardson. Mayberry, who's a great three-point shooter. Hury contributes a rebound, and they reset again, and Miller ships over. Mayberry says this time, and he's 0 for 2, unusual for him. Hawkins, who had checked in, rebounded, and the travel will send the ball to Dayton.
Mayberry has the #1 field goal shooting percentage from the three-point line of anybody in the United States. Hit and misses 2 in a row.
17-3, and suddenly look who's got chemistry. Dale Brown and the Tigers.
Stay in the zone.
And the ball is whipped out of bounds by Bill Ewell.
Ewell's dad. We have a lot of people here that have some connections. His dad, a great All-American center at Dayton. back in the 60s.
18-17. 12.5 minutes, first half.
Ewell doing a good job not letting Miller handle the ball down low.
Here's Miller, missing. Knight hit the ball, and Springer will bring it up on
good hit ahead.
Beautiful pass, and Anthony Corbett. And quickly, Arkansas can pass, hits Ewell, and goes out of bounds. It'll be Arkansas ball. Actually, that saved it.
Good play on the inside. Ewell from one side. Springer comes from the other side. He can't get the shot off. No room in the inside, and a good fast break opportunity for Dayton, but they can't convert as Corbett missed.
Arkansas has made only 2 of its last 11 shots. It's
And the
5:45, Billy.
The longer this game goes, the more that Jim O'Brien can convince his fellas that they can win this ball game.
Ernie Murray on the floor now. Arkansas missing again. It's Fury, but he stays with it. And a foul against Dayton. Hawkins was fouled coming back with the shot. And that's 2 fouls on Ewell since checking into the game.
Brennan, the Southwest Conference tournament, Arkansas really turned it up a notch, beating Houston in the final. Nolan Richardson for the 2nd year in a row, coach of the year in that league, and has such a young club, you can expect him to be a major factor again next year. .75% free throw shooter is Hawkins.
Timeout at the 11:59 mark. Arkansas and Dayton even at 18. Move right back.
Your attention, please. This area is for the loading and unloading of passengers only. Please stay in line. Keep left. Merge right. No shirt, no shoes, no service, no pets, no parking, no standing, no camping, no excuses.
If the trials and tribulations of everyday life are getting you down, Kawasaki is happy to offer some fast relief.
Have fun.
Oh, Adrian, you don't sound good. That's why I sell insurance.
She won't get to heaven or boys. She's a friend of the church because she takes the church at heart.
Pastors get so involved in their ministry that they forget about worldly things.
These pastors trust Adrian Yurko with their life insurance. She's been with New York Life for 7 years and with their church for 9.
Oh, she has my support. She's got my money, too.
New York Life, the company you keep.
My grandson would thank me 20 years from now.
To perfect the new Lexus ES250, our engineers had to spend many long days on the test track. But with standard amenities such as fine-grained wood and a 6-speaker high-output audio system, at least they had excellent working conditions. Presenting the Lexus ES250, the luxury sedan of sports sedans.
Great panorama. The NCAA tournament, March Madness at Hartford today. The University of Connecticut and Clemson advanced on down to the region of the New Jersey Meadowlands. Meanwhile, in Salt Lake, UNLV, and one of the major surprises of this tournament, Ball State, advance along to the West Regional in Oakland. Here, the Dayton Flyers with the ball, tied with the Razorbacks, and now they're back into the lead on Robinson's field goal. And he has contributed 8 points here in the first half.
Nolan Richardson going to a smaller lineup now with a 2-guard lineup in the game.
Foul against Dayton.
Murray and Mayberry.
That's Ray Springer, who's assessed the personal on Hury. Billy, what about the mental attitude of the Arkansas players right now?
I really don't think they came into this game with the type of defensive intensity that's necessary to get by such a dangerous opponent. You know, Dayton has had not only a great year, but of recent weeks beaten Xavier twice. They're tough.
Maybe that will give Nolan Richardson's team a wake-up call as Miller powers in the jam, and we're deadlocked at 20. The Flyers, meanwhile, just keep up the pressure. Up-tempo game, and another field goal for Robinson. He's on fire. 10 points. He's hit 5 of 6.
Curry walked that by with one.
Mayberry not getting off to a good start.
You notice how Dayton is releasing on the rebounding, and then they get the numbers down the other end. Robinson open again.
Here's Springer. Long rebound, pulled away by Robinson, and fouled inside by Miller.
Well, Miller did not have his hands straight up. When he broke his palm, that's what got him the foul. Robinson's second team all-league in Southwest Conference. Speaking of Miller, rather.
Hey, let's go to work. Let's go to work. Let's go to work. Come on, man. Come on now.
Let's see if for the first time they can get something going off the press full court.
That's a 4-point Dayton lead. 24-20, 10:53, and again, Coach O'Brien goes back to his bench. Alex Robertson, the freshman out of Chicago, the defensive specialist, back on the floor, trying to keep the ball over by the sideline in front of the Dayton bench.
You notice their press is not an intense press. It's just showing it and dropping back.
They'll settle for the 3. And off the miss, the Flyers come out on the move. Their ball underneath their own hoop. So from Austin, Texas, with Billy Packer, I'm Brent Musburger. This is the second game of the Midwest region here in Austin, Texas, home of the University of Texas, and the Longhorns have advanced to a game up in Indianapolis on Sunday. Nigel Knight was fouled, so he'll come to the free throw line. Well, I have an opportunity. We want to send along a birthday greeting to the athletic director at Dayton, Tom Frerichs, a splendid gentleman. He's on the NCAA basketball committee, and lately, as so many of the good folks up in Dayton and in that area realize, he has been battling cancer and doing it successfully. He is at the regional games unfolding up in Indianapolis, and I know the one thing he is so proud of this Dayton basketball team is the fact that all 6 of these seniors are due to graduate on time this summer, and that's a great success story when you can read that rather than the points per game or rebounds, when you can say that all your seniors are going to go ahead and graduate. Just a tremendous success story. And also, we've got to say something about his former friend, the man he had to replace, Don Donaher, and the class that he demonstrated after he was released at Dayton. He has helped Jim O'Brien with this team. This is one of the warmest stories in college basketball, where a man who was forced to leave under pressure does not forget where he's been. He's now working with Bobby Knight, and he's helped Jim O'Brien whenever he has needed it. And right now, the Dayton Flyers lead at 26-20.
And you notice, Brett, that Nolan Richardson has gone to a lineup that he doesn't play together very often. Very disappointed, I think, with the effort that his team has made, particularly on defense.
You would have thought that North Carolina would have awakened the Razorbacks.
Well, when you get in a tournament that's one and done, every player should understand that he better put forth his best effort, or he's going to be going home playing his last game for the year.
Now it's Urey coming on the inside and missing the shot. Dayton again coming off with the rebound and going right down on the attack. And it's Knight. Couldn't get the roll. Tap won't go. Arkansas ball. 9:20 to go, first half.
But the style doesn't put quite as much pressure on as Loyola Marymount, but Dayton will push that ball up extremely well and get the numbers 3-on-2.
Urey with the three-point basket cuts the lead in half, 26-23. Corbett battling away on the inside. Arkansas ball. On the move. Offense is the call.
Good job by Brad. He anticipated And Day committed from about 15 feet from the basket. That's why he picked up the charge.
That's the second time that Brad's has stepped in and drawn the charge, and that's 2 personal fouls on Day. Arkansas just can't buy a hoop, can they?
Well, they've gotten completely out of sync. It was very obvious early on the effort wasn't there defensively, and a lot of times that takes away from your offensive thrust as well. Robinson back in the ball game. He's the man that had the hot hand earlier. See if they get it back to him. Over on the weak side.
Great move inside by Robinson to Corbett. Just a tremendous pass. He could have taken the shot himself, but it was an easy layup if he dished it off, which he did.
But I don't think I've ever seen anybody penetrate with the dribble against Arkansas as easily as what Dayton is doing. And give a lot of credit to the Dayton players. It's the skill level that they really have and are doing a good job with.
If Northern Iowa can beat Missouri, folks, anything can happen in this tournament. I'll tell you that right now. That is Corbett again with that jump shot. Arkansas calls a timeout.
My poor brother Tom, every time he tried to see what he was missing, he would miss what he was seeing. Then Tom got this amazing Magnavox TV that lets him watch one show while he checks out all the others on this remarkable little window.
Hey, that's a smart window, Dick.
That's what they call it, Tom.
They call it Tom?
No. They call it Smart Window, Tom.
I don't know. I kind of like Tom.
Magnavox. Smart choice. Very smart.
I told Greg he was crazy to start his own business. He won't have our resources. He won't have our computers.
I heard Greg Clancy went independent.
I wish I had his guts. He won't have our,
He won't have our bureaucracy.
I'm having lots of fun.
This proposal is impressive.
Who are these guys, anyway?
Greg's a creative guy. Clancy's just a bean counter.
Macintosh has the power to make you independent. The power to be your best.
I love this game. I love to win, and I have, in college and in the pros. So I've had some experience celebrating. And you know, the way you celebrate says as much about you as the winning does. So do it right. Be responsible. Take care of yourself and your friends. Know when to say when.
A reminder from Budweiser.
Sunday isn't always a day of rest. Tomorrow, catch a triple-header thriller as second-round excitement continues. It's March Madness Mania.
He's a coach who will get your attention in a hurry. Nolan Richardson, coming out of UTEP, played in the defensive line for the San Diego Chargers before also playing in the American Basketball Association with the Dallas Chaparrals. You're looking at one of the finest all-around athletes ever. And when he says something to you, you pay attention. And right now, Arkansas has been sleepwalking. Let's see what happens. Here they come again. Off the steal.
What a steal.
Great steal back and knocked it out of bounds. Bowers coming right with him. And Richardson has put his starting lineup back in, Billy.
He did do that, and of course, Bowers had to recognize, you can see Nolan right there telling you got to recognize you have a double team, pass the ball, and hit ahead.
Arkansas hitting only 36% against this aggressive Dayton defense. They have turned it over 10 times.
Good double team. Knight sitting over here on the opposite side. And I'm sure that Jim O'Brien liked to see that ball get over. Good double team here. Lindsey Howe, one of the more underrated players in the country, just does one thing for you, and that is win games.
Foul on Arkansas. Bowers jumping out on Knight. Isn't that amazing?
It really is, and the reason for that is they haven't been able to get Mayberry in the game at all to start distributing the ball. Nolan made it
very unhappy.
He really is. He made an excellent point the other day in regard to the Princeton game. He said, you know, that wasn't a defensive game, that was an offensive game because you didn't have many possessions and you had to really work on your offense. He thought today would be a game of defense.
Billy, if Knight fills out just a little bit, I know the NBA has not rated him highly, and it's been somewhat controversial with Jim O'Brien, the Dayton Flyer coach. You got to take a look at him.
Well, I think I would go along with whatever O'Brien says. He's coached the young man all year long, and he's got NBA experience. On his 11-game stretch, he's averaging almost 30 points a game, shooting close to 70% from the three, so he has been really doing it.
Now the Razorbacks try to settle back in here and get a run going. Howell up with the jump shot. Short. Arkansas ball.
And they're showing a little bit more quickness now down on the offensive end of the floor.
7:18 left in the first half. Howell on the run off the fake. Drew the foul on Knight.
Good pump fake by Lindsey Howell. And he does have the ability to shoot the three, so you had to go out and play him honestly.
That's the first foul of the game on Knight. Over the limit, so Arkansas will be shooting the rest of the way.
It was 20-0, Brent, the other night against Illinois, points over off turnovers. So Dayton picking up right where they left off. And after that sensational final against Xavier in their conference championship, this team has really played well throughout February and early March. Howell was last year's MVP of the Southwest Conference tournament.
Now sub checks in. Wes Coffey returning for the Flyers. He'll take the ball out of bounds. 32-25. Dayton leading the champions of the Southwest Conference tournament.
Jim O'Brien was worried about pressing against Arkansas. I think Arkansas has to be worried about pressing Dayton. I don't think they can handle it.
Down away from the ball on the inside. Goes against Arkansas.
This might not be what Arkansas wants, but they may be better off just dropping back because Dayton just taking it right to him off the dribble.
Actually, it was a foul on the shooter. Knight coming on up to that free throw line, and Bowers now with 3 personal fouls here in the first half, and Nolan will go back to the bench. Ron Hury returning.
Knight scored 27 against Illinois, 11 for 13 from the foul line. Just an excellent all-around offensive performance.
You know, there's another team that should be paying attention to this, Roy. Georgetown. There's another team out of this conference, Xavier, that Dayton picked off twice down the stretch, including the championship. And it's obvious now that they can play in that conference. This Dayton story is one of the great untold stories of the year.
Well, it's a very good young coaches league, too, when you consider Jimmy O'Brien, Pete Gillen, among others. Fellows with vast experience at young ages.
Howell. Now Howell drops in a couple of jump shots, giving him 7 for the half.
Here again, you see that Dayton, every time that they try to press them, they get better numbers than does Arkansas.
Springer misfired over everything. Shot up an air ball into Howell's hands, and Arkansas can get a run going now. There's no question about the superior depth of talent in this game. It belongs to Arkansas. Hury with the 3 that's not there, and a rebound goes to the Flyers. Not giving them easy putback baskets at that end, are they? Robinson misfiring, and Hury rebounded.
He doesn't see Day, who had broken out, had a chance for a layup.
Traveled and got away with it, but not for long.
Arkansas really out of sync, and you think somewhat about the Princeton game may have gotten them into that type of a lethargic pace.
And that was our earlier upset, where an 8 seed North Carolina dropped Oklahoma. The number 1 seed Southeast Michigan State moving along. Good comeback by Santa Barbara in that game. And Springer drains a 3.
Throws up an air ball, comes right back with a 3. Mark of a team that has a lot of confidence.
Robinson out on Mayberry as O'Brien continues to run in different defensive players on him. Ball was halfway down.
Good block by Coffey. Yes, sir. Nolan.
Technical foul on Nolan Richardson has been called by Dick Paparo.
Brent, he called that one from this side of the floor, and actually Nolan was talking to the other official that was down under the basket. Nolan can't believe it. night an 80% free throw shooter with that great penetration. Went on the line over 230 times this year. Fifth-year senior. Had operations for bone spurs as a freshman.
Now, in that controversial Texas game, before he took the technical, Nolan Richardson left the floor with about 14 seconds to go in regulation. Then they tied it up on a three-point play, went into overtime, and Richardson came back to the bench. Tom Penders, the Longhorn coach, remains upset about that. He said that Richardson should have been assessed a technical penalty. Well, Tom, if you're watching, he got it here this afternoon, and it's 37-27 with 5:20 to go.
A little late. There's another one of those unusually funny rotation on that shot by Springer.
Corbett stayed with it, couldn't get it to fall. Arkansas ball. He's finally caught fire. Lindsey Howell out of the Dallas, Texas area with 9 points is the leading scorer for the Razorbacks. Day with 7. Credit with 7. Mayberry is scoreless. That's the kind of defensive job being done by Dayton against him. They have focused on Mayberry here, and so far they have been successful.
But not only is he scoreless, he hasn't generated any offense for his teammates either, and that's usually what he's so good at.
Good fake down on the inside. Corbett got his man in the air and then came through smoothly. Curie on the penetration.
Good play off the bench by Curie. This newcomer of the year in the Southwest Conference, his first year, of course, had his problems.
The three by Robinson.
Surrounding the defense. And again, Arkansas very lethargic defensively, getting beat.
This is Mayberry being hounded right now by Robertson, who's only a freshman.
Stays in that zone.
This is some defensive game plan that's been put together in this one. Arkansas is going to have to make some changes at the half. Knight coming on the inside, forced that one.
Thought he got fouled twice. Knight can't believe it. He's on his knees. He was fouled about 3 or 4 times in that play.
3:53.
Saturday morning in Ford County.
I see you got a new Chevy. Yep. That's a pretty smart buy when you amortize the cost of depreciation as it relates to inflation in the GNP. Yep. In fact, when compared with Ford Ranger, Chevy S10 has held more of its value model years 1984 through 88.
Yep, and they say they've been worth more when you trade them in, too.
A tradition of higher resale value. No wonder people from Ford prefer Chevy trucks. Nobody's winning like the heartbeat of America.
Yep.
Bob, 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 the rubber rain, take my hand.
So what do you think Mom's gonna do when we both show up out of the blue? Well, hopefully she'll feed us.
Listen, you want to talk about your love life?
No.
Well, I mean, I don't mean your love life now. I mean your whole love. You know, it's amazing that every girl you went out with in high school was blonde.
You see? Whoa, geez.
Just thinking how much time we could spend not together.
One day it could all come down to a few inches. For those few inches, it's good to know you have Goodyear tires.
Everything changes and everything stays the same.
This is good. I guess they're home. I miss you.
I miss you too. That's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
So North Carolina and Ball State provide the Saturday afternoon upsets here today and move along to the regionals and make the Sweet 16. That's an annual rite of spring for the Tar Heels of Dean Smith. And the ACC having a spectacular tournament, and Georgia Tech, which trailed LSU early, now back in it, down by 7 points. And here Jim O'Brien is orchestrating a masterpiece so far. It's 42-31. Dayton upsetting Arkansas.
Brett, the official, put the ball down the end line. Second time we've seen that today. Players have to get over there and get it out in 5 seconds. A little half-court trap here.
Lindsey Howell, he's been the strongest offensive performer of the game for Richardson. 11 points in the first half.
Nothing there.
Bad pass. Razorbacks on the turnover can back up field goals, and they return the favor.
Neither pass, Brent, a good idea. And Hawkins yelling back at Murray, but it really wasn't a good idea to throw that one, particularly when you're down
in
by
the
9
first
points.
half. Arkansas has equaled its game average for turnovers against Dayton. And there's the update on the LSU Georgia Tech game out of the Southeast. If LSU can win that one, they go to New Orleans. And Knight, no foul call.
Boy, Knight's getting a rough job on refereeing.
An easy layup for Arkansas.
See if he continues to try to penetrate.
Now Miller, who really's got a free rein, if they're not going to call anything on the inside, he can really start jumping out like that and be extremely aggressive. Here's Urey's 3.
Howell again, the man of the hour so far.
Robinson comes up with it for the Flyers. Swings inside. I think we got one referee out there who's not calling anything, Billy. I think that's what the situation is right now. I think Papero's got to carry the load.
But this game is really out of sync for Arkansas. You know, they have no pattern whatsoever in their offense. It's basically everybody going one-on-one.
Howell steps in and nails the 3. Lindsey Howell with 14 first half points. And the Razorbacks right back in it, 42-38.
Knight being guarded by a bigger man just takes Hawkins. I think they need to get the ball back tonight.
Robertson forces one from the side.
The ball better get back in Knight's hands here. Jimmy O'Brien thinking timeout. They've forgotten who brought him here. There he is.
They let it slip away a little bit. Now they pound it back on the inside, and Knight will get it back.
He's got Urey on him. Urey's got the bad knee. He ought to just go ahead and take him.
Good switch by the Razorbacks defense.
Boy, he is getting
he's just getting killed on the inside.
The whole complexion of this game has been changed by officiating in the last 3 minutes.
Urey on a runner.
Or the lack thereof.
Ties the score at the 1-minute mark. It's an 11-0 Arkansas run, and the Razorbacks are right back where they started. Corbett. Coffey.
Well, that one had to be a foul.
Finally, with a little blood dripping down, the foul is called.
Here's Knight. Knight goes in. Bang, he gets hit. No foul. Here he is on the inside. Pumps fakes. No foul. And you know, Brent, this run was made by Arkansas. Nolan Richardson doing a tough thing for a coach in a game like this. He sat down his stars. Mayberry and Day weren't involved in that run. Now Day and Mayberry back in the game. Maybe he said, hey, guys, watch a while.
He also took a technical from this officiating crew. And O'Brien has not yet been working on the officials at the other end. Since that technical, almost everything has gone Richardson's way. That also is the mark of a veteran coach. You got to know when to get on the men with the whistles, especially in this tournament.
Nothing dropping now for Dayton.
Now the Razorbacks can take the lead on into the locker room. They can spare themselves some kind of pep talk if they can get the lead here.
Well, and they're in a position with the shot clock about 5 seconds differential. Hold it right on down there for one.
I believe that if things had gone as they were, Richardson would have walked in there with a whip and a chair. But now his men have climbed back into a tie, and it might be civilized inside that Arkansas locker room.
You know, you talk about Tarkanian's towel. That one that Nolan has a little prettier. It's got polka dots on it. Doesn't kind of fit his personality.
Miller wanted to go to work on the inside. Mayberry launches one at the buzzer. though Nolan Richardson and the Arkansas Razorbacks are fortunate to be back in a tie. Dayton 42, Arkansas 42, and our coverage will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when. Advil, advanced medicine for pain. And by the United States Postal Service. We deliver for you.
Your first house, the biggest investment you've ever made. How will you protect it? Call Allstate before you close for answers and comforting prices. Another reason.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
There's another way for new homeowners to save money. The Allstate New House Discount. It could save you up to 15% on Allstate homeowners insurance. Another reason.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
A member of the Sears Financial Network.
Send up a crow's foot. Give me an Applejack.
There's a place in the friendly skies where not everyone's so friendly.
Stop. Hold it. I need 3 hours minimum. Check it out.
Over 9,000 mechanics of United Airlines work here.
Give me a mini grinder.
They're picky, fussy, stubborn. But if you fly, they're the best friends you'll ever have. United, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies.
Get into a new thing. Hot wing. Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Looks great, Dave. When's she gonna let you drive it?
Hot wing.
New Hot Wings from Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's powerful. A new kind of protection. Speed Stick Deodorant Sport Talc. Made just for a man. New Speed Stick Sport Talc. Powerful all-day protection. Dweezil Zappa. Starring in Normal Life. Moon Zappa. Starring in Normal Life, not your normal comedy.
And Valerie Bertinelli's back in a glamorous new role.
Hi.
She's knocking the men off their feet.
I just kind of like sneak up on them and get them when their pants are down.
Dweezil Zappa, Normal Life. Valerie Bertinelli, Sydney. Premieres Wednesday on CBS.
This is CBS.
Last fall, in a conversation I had with Coach O'Brien, we commented on the total excitement being generated by Flyer fans everywhere in anticipation of what turned out to be just what we expected, a championship season. We at Stumps have been extremely gratified again this year in displaying our support for the University of Dayton basketball program. Flyers, we're very proud of you, and good luck in the NCAA.
Free food. How much could you cart away in 3 minutes? Find out. Enter the lottery's new shopping spree drawing when you play Pick 3 and Pick 4. You could win 3 minutes to fill as many carts as you can. Just mail in a non-winning Pick 3 ticket and a non-winning Pick 4 ticket purchased since March 1st. Enter as often as you like. We'll draw 5 winners each week. See your lottery sales agent today for details and check it out.
Easy for you to say.
GMC Truck now offers proof that actions speak louder. It's Action Cash with $1,000 cash back on S15 pickups or $1,250 cash back on S15 Jimmys, both on new 89 and 90 models. Or choose low APR GMAC financing. Don't miss Action Cash. You'll have a very good reaction.
GMC Truck. It's not just a truck anymore.
See your Miami Valley GMC truck dealers today.
Vision. A clear picture of a goal realized. A determination to turn resources into results. As ideas come to life, vision brings form to the future. And that makes today a secure place to be. Community Mutual, the strength to lead.
And they were eating them up alive with blocking shots. Georgia Tech has become a little bit more discreet, shooting on the outside, their normal game.
Dennis Scott over O'Neal. That's an air ball. Had to adjust the three-point shot. Chris Jackson's going to bring it down against Carl Brown. Offensive foul on Jackson. A Again, Georgia Tech had the first field goal of the game, and then LSU just took over. And there you see what they've shot. Georgia Tech's been ice cold. They've helped themselves with offensive rebounds. Shaquille O'Neal, 15 points and 4 blocks. Chris Jackson, only 5 points. And Bobby Cremins' Yellow Jackets are going to feel like they are Irish lucky if they can go into the locker room only down a point, and they're going to play for the final shot.
Well, Georgia Tech got back into this ball game primarily because Dale Brown was forced to take one of his big guys out, those 2 pyramids. And I think that's when Georgia Tech started to get their running game going, and they crawled back into it. Now this little guy outside, as a freshman, he's taking charge.
Shot clock is off. That's the game clock until halftime down in the corner of your screen. Kenny Anderson penetrates. Got it off the glass. Jackson, not much time. Singleton at the buzzer.
All right, so the trend in this game more or less parallels what we had in the Dayton, Arkansas game. As LSU stormed in front, Georgia Tech comes back to trim it to only 1 at the half. The other one's tied, Dayton and Arkansas. First, your comments on Lethal Weapon 3 coming back in this game.
Well, especially let's look at Chris Jackson, who has only 5 points, 2 for 7 from the floor. And Kenny Anderson hit that last basket, 11 points for him. LSU down 20-3, up 20-3 early in this game. Georgia Tech in good position right now.
Yeah, down 17 is trimmed to 1. All right, the winner of that game, LSU and Georgia Tech, will face Michigan State, the 1 seed, advancing with a 4-point victory today. Of course, the big shocker everyone's been dealing with here for the last hour. North Carolina, the 8 seed over the 1 seed in the Midwest. Oklahoma falls by 2. Elsewhere today, Ball State springs the surprise on Louisville out west, beating the 4 seed out there. The 12th seeded Ball State Cardinals advancing on and will face UNLV in the next round Friday in Oakland. UNLV beats Ohio State 4th straight time in the tournament. The Buckeyes have lost in the second round. Clemson comes from behind to beat LaSalle down 19 in the first half. The Tigers take it and move on to face UConn, the 1 seed in the East, Thursday at the Meadowlands, as Connecticut had a 20-point victory over California in the Sweet 16 for the first time since 1976. Chris Smith led the way, 24 points for the Huskies in their victory. We'll continue on CBS after this message.
People keep asking me how it felt to be in the first Jamaican bobsled team. Well, let me tell you, man, it was cold, freezing. See, coming from Jamaica, the only thing I like cold is Miller Lite. Light's not some watered-down version of your regular beer. It's a less filling beer that really tastes great. Now, let me tell you, man, Jamaican bobsledders will be ready in '92. Keep training, man. Going for the gold next time.
You gotta believe when it's Miller Lite, less filling tastes great.
To order your copy of the official NCAA 1990 Final Four program, call toll-free 1-800-866-NCAA or send $8 to this address. As a special offer, relive the thrills of the first 50 years of America's most exciting sports event by ordering the Final Four. 240 pages of great photos and stories for only $29.95 plus $2 shipping and handling. Order today and receive the Final Four program free. This message furnished by the NCAA.
I started playing sports at a very young age because my dad was coaching at a church which we attended, and so I went to all the games with him. And in high school, I played all 3 sports, football, basketball, and baseball. And then went to college, played basketball and baseball in college. I started off as a football official. And I got so involved with football, and I enjoyed it so much, I went on into basketball. And this is my 26th year in basketball. My philosophy has always been to try to gain the respect of the coaches and the players, try to communicate. The main goal that any set of officials has is to make sure they control the game. Both teams have the equal opportunity to win the game, and when you get through the game, just come out feeling good about yourself.
This message furnished by the NCAA.
Jim Nance and Mike Francesa still wishing you St. Patrick's Day greetings. You know, the road to the Final Four draws together not only 64 teams from the entire country, but also some star players from places as remote as Finland, Israel, and Zaire. The University of Texas features Guillermo Myers, the man they call Panama. But as Leslie Visser reports, less than 3 months ago, basketball was the furthest thing from his mind.
On December 22nd, many Americans were riveted to news reports of the military action in Panama as the United States carried out plans to overthrow the government of General Manuel Noriega. One young man at the University of Texas was particularly concerned.
I was thinking about my friends, I was thinking about my family. When you think of Panama, you don't think of war. You don't think of, people being killed, hurt, It hit me pretty hard. Especially when looking in the background, I was looking at sites that I used to look out of my window, and it was hard. It was hard.
Guillermo Myers, who went to high school in Brooklyn, was born and raised in Panama. He is the starting center for the Texas Longhorns, who advanced to the second round of the NCAA tournament with a victory over Georgia at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis. Back in December, Guillermo hoped that the tension between the U.S. forces and the Panamanian defense troops would be resolved without further bloodshed. But mostly he feared for the safety of his father.
He was up late at night trying to call his dad to make sure that they were okay and that they weren't injured or anything. And it just really put a dark cloud over things.
I couldn't go to sleep. I was stressed out. I went to practice, I tried to give 110%, but my mind was not into basketball. My mind was into Panama.
It was really difficult for me to handle it, and I remember all I could do was just put my arm around him and to tell him that basketball wasn't important.
Since then, Myers bounced back to lead the Longhorns in the middle, while his father in Panama wishes him continued success.
I'm really proud of him. I hope one day I get an opportunity to go and see him play in the States. I wish him luck.
Well, tomorrow, Panama and his teammates from Texas will take on Purdue. What about that game, Mike?
I know Gene Katie has to be worried because Tommy Penders has done very well in the tournament the last couple of years. In Texas, they like to run, shoot those threes. It'll be an interesting game.
It will be, and that bracket has opened up today with 1 seed Oklahoma losing to North Carolina. And we'll continue on the road to the Final Four on CBS in just a moment.
Are these the international rules?
For a word he knows.
He's going for a 2-syllable word. Ladies and gentlemen. Europe, it's a continent.
Let's stick with 1-syllable words, he's fine.
Hold your hand right there. Okay, mumbly peg. Mumbly peg with dirt.
Levi's 100% cotton Dockers. If they're not Dockers, they're just pants.
You guys have any food?
Dun, dun,
dun, killer shark.
Dun, dun.
I think you should go back to
Do you
your
think the wave needs words?
Michelin high-performance radials. Everything you'd expect from a Michelin, only faster. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
When you've got your Power Stroke going, nothing's gonna beat you. Introducing Power Stick Antiperspirant. 24-hour protection in just one wide stroke. New Power Stick from Fabergé.
Here you go. You really know how to impress your clients, huh? You should have stayed at Holiday Inn. They have everything you need for a perfect meeting, and they'll guarantee it.
Why take chances with your meetings? Call 1-800-HOLIDAY.
This is CBS.
You got stumps, we'll help you. You got stumps, we'll help you. You got stumps, we'll do you right.
Be sure to make some extra room in the pantry for this great value from Stumps. Pepsi-Cola in the 2-liter size. Springtime priced at 88 cents. Just another good reason to go to Stumps.
We'll show you, you got stumps. We'll show you, you got stumps. We'll do you right. We're your choice. We're PK Building Centers.
We have all the answers to make your home like new. PK.
Take the chill out of your heating costs with Guardian fiberglass insulation. Our extra-thick fiberglass strands blanket your attic, providing a thermal barrier that keeps insulating power up and fuel bills down.
We're your choice. We're PK Building Centers.
This is your 24-hour news source.
I'm Miriam Wright. Hopes for an agreement in Major League Baseball's contract dispute were shattered today. Both sides met, but they failed to break the deadlock on salary arbitration. Two brothers accused of trying to set fire to an African-American family's apartment in Middletown have been indicted on charges of attempted aggravated arson. 30-year-old Charles Blackford and 28-year-old Rick Blackford are also charged with possession of a dangerous ordinance and with ethnic intimidation. More news within the hour.
Of 15. They also have held the Razorbacks' big two, Todd Day and Lee Mayberry. You can see how little they have scored, and their season average is 34. But then Dick Papero hit Nolan Richardson for a technical because he left the coach's box. We just had a brief chat with Papero. He said that Nolan stepped out on the floor. That's why he hit him with the tee. After that, the game turned completely around. Arkansas outscored Dayton 15-5. No fouls called against the Razorbacks. 58% shooting since then. And Billy Packer, give us an overview of what to expect in the second half here.
Well, Brent, the first half, without question, Arkansas did not come to play defensively. Dayton, a very good club, well coached, took that ball right to them, particularly on the offensive end of the floor where they penetrated at will, got the ball inside, and scored extremely well.
How were the nachos here in Austin?
The nachos are great. I mean, if you're in Texas, you've got to eat them, Brent.
All right, we
can you imagine somebody bringing us a hot dog at halftime when you've got nachos? Hot dogs are for New York, not Austin, Texas. $3 haircuts are for Salt Lake City, nachos for Texas.
All right.
I mean, I'm not a big-time traveler, but I've learned a little bit.
Arkansas finished the half on an 11-0 run over the last 3:53. Dayton was up by 11, 42-31. So we start deadlock at 42.
Let's see if the feet start moving in the second half for Arkansas. It's always the good indicator as to whether your guys are going to try to do something on the defensive end. And let's hope for Knight's sake that he gets some calls here in the second half, because he got bruised in the latter part of the first.
Dayton turns it over on its first possession. Mayberry pulls it back out. And this is Murray, who starts the second half along with Day, Howell, and Credit. Missing again from the perimeter, having a horrible shooting day is Lee Mayberry. Knight gives it on back to Robinson, who has been a force all game long. That's
Robinson,
14 points.
Very good finisher, not afraid to pull up and take that jumper. Brent, as I said, Mayberry leads the nation in field goal shooting percentage from the three-point line. He's 0 for 4 out there today.
Run down by Dayton. That's Ray Springer.
Two-three zone by Arkansas.
Punch to Corbett, short on the shot. Credit's rebound. Credit gets it back for the easy layup.
As Corbett was still down at the other end of the floor, nobody picking up.
Now Knight penetrates and uses the jump shot.
Good rebound.
And bang, just like that, Nolan Robinson adds 2 more. Averages less than 9 a game, has scored 16 here against Arkansas. The foul called against Dayton. Boy, the Heroes are not playing like it.
No, they aren't. Knight 1 for 7, but as I said, in fairness to him, he got hammered on 2 of those 7 shots not called. Mayberry just 0 for 4 from the outside, has missed every shot he's taken today.
Billy, this is the floor where Arkansas enjoyed one of its great successes in NCAA tournament play.
And you think of a club like Louisville that lost today in a heartbreaker. They also lost in that game. U.S. Reed from half court threw it in to beat Denny Crum's club.
Howell scoring, keeping the Razorbacks there. That's 17 points for Howell in this game.
Of course, Dayton, there you see Oliver Miller sitting back and relaxing. And if Nolan Richardson saw that scene, he'd have that towel right on his head.
He was looking for a few nachos, too, Billy.
Yeah, he's probably annoyed at me.
Tied again at 46.
Arkansas has been able to get nothing off the press.
This time they
still
do.
there. First time today.
Mayberry from behind. He is so slick at that, as Razorback fans know, all season long. He's able to come in behind the man with the ball. Now, still can't get it cooking, and there's contact underneath and put the field goal down. Chance for a three-point play. The foul is against Coffey.
Here's the first time today that Arkansas was able to turn it on the press. Everybody picking up. And actually, Dayton almost had it beat, but good quick hands from the backside. Day going to go now to the foul line. This young man seems to get bigger every time I see him. He started off at about a 6'6" freshman last year, and now he's up there pushing 6'8" or 9.
A three-point Razorback lead. Now you wonder how the Flyers have performed coming from the backside. And that should answer the question as Springer makes it a one-point game. And quickly, Mayberry to the attack.
Good job by Knight on defense that time. Mayberry had him in the open court one-on-one. Couldn't beat him.
Off Credit's hands on the turnover. Knight comes right back with a beautiful move at midcourt. And they follow up. Look what I've got.
Give Murray an assist on that play. He made a steal and then put it right back in Dayton's hands. And just when you think this Dayton team is ready to go down, they come right back with some great hustle play.
Robinson now with 18 points, having a spectacular game scoring. Howell on the drive, and he's fouled. Watch this move in the open floor, Billy. It was beautiful.
It certainly was. Beat his man, then he has the little drop-off pass, and that's where Murray touched it. But Robinson, who's been the man of the hour throughout this ball game, puts it right back up inside. Very good score. Robinson averaging just 9.9 a game, so he's actually doubling his production here today. And in the, he picks up right where he came from the MCC tournament. Had 42 points in those 3 games, 19 of 27 from the field. So he's been on some hot streak.
Game is tied. Ewell loses the handle.
Could be Howell.
Foul is against Howell. That's his second.
We talk about, Robinson. In his entire career, Brent, for some reason, for the first 2 months of the season, he averages down around 4 points a game. Then the last 2 months, he builds himself up to solid double figures.
Knight breaks free for the Flyers.
Good block
that time by Howell, but right into the hands of Corbett. And they call the held ball, and it will go over. Ball goes over to Arkansas with the score tied at 50, 16-58. The Razorbacks break back with Howell fouled. He'll come to the line to shoot a pair.
That was a two-handed chest pass by Mayberry. Instead of the baseball pass, went about 70 feet. Pretty difficult to do that. We really had Robinson and Howell have saved both of these clubs today offensively. And Arkansas, I guess on this floor, used to coming back because they were down 20-9 to Princeton. Then got the lead, then fell behind again. And the wake-up call didn't come here today either.
Dayton gets it up. Corbett having some difficulty now against this Arkansas defense. Robinson's open, missed the shot. Dayton gets it back. Hustling for the rebound at the offensive end.
You're not afraid to take that jumper out there. A pretty good looking three-point shot for a 6'8".
That was Credit who stepped in on Ewell. Now O'Brien starting to get a little upset with the officiating at this end.
Good job for Jim, to go ahead and work those officials as Nolan Richardson did in the first half and got the breaks, what, 15-5, you pointed out, Brent, from that point on?
Exactly. Not a single foul called on the Razorbacks after that technical.
There's the three.
And the Razorbacks on the move. 3-on-1, and Howell keeps it with a left-handed layup.
Lindsey Howell is just a winner. The wrong size to play forward in the major leagues and does it anyway.
Another turnover by Dayton, and Day banks one in.
Bryant's going for the timeout. His club a little rattled right now.
Down 6. They don't pick it up.
He wanted to call the time and didn't get it, and he should have.
Now it's down 8. A great run by Arkansas. 9-0.
Matt,
Uh-huh.
are you awake?
Yeah. Are you?
No. You know, Matt, I never had a baby before.
Oh, me neither.
I'm happy, are you?
Yeah. I'm a little scared, though.
You know, we'll need a bigger place.
Amy?
Yeah?
I love you.
Oh, Matt.
We'll be okay.
We will.
I promise.
Mass Mutual. We help you keep your promises.
Gillette announces a razor that can sense the individual needs of your face. Introducing the extraordinary Gillette Sensor Shaving System. Sensor blades are mounted on responsive springs to continuously sense and adjust to your face for the best shave a man can get. Closer, smoother, safer. New Gillette Sensor.
The Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra is one of America's most popular cars, and it's about to get a lot more popular. We've rolled back the price on the Cutlass Sierra S sedan by $500. Plus, factory-to-dealer incentives of $750 to $1,250 may be passed on to you. And qualified first-time buyers can get $600 cash back. That can mean up to $2,350 on a new Sierra S. See your Olds dealer now for details and deals.
On a new generation, Oldsmobile.
Benny's cover could be shattered.
I want to be paid cash up front.
Unless Frank takes a gamble.
Where the hell have you been?
That could destroy the town. Wise guy, stranger in a strange town.
With Billy Packer, I'm Brent Musburger. Welcome back to Austin, Texas. Campus at the University of Texas, 15:40 to go, Billy.
Brent, here is Arkansas basketball at its best. Lindsey Howell on the steal, takes it in. You can see how good he is at finishing off the break, and then come right back with a steal by Mayberry, keeps it loose, and Todd Day pulls up to hit up one of his patented jump shots. Jim O'Brien tried to get the timeout, but none of his players could see him, and it cost him another 2.
Arkansas protecting the ball much better here in the second half. They have simply gotten their wake-up call here.
And Knight has been taken out of the game offensively. They never seem to be able to get him the ball once they cross half court.
Ewell, his 3 is out. Arkansas rebound.
After a timeout, you want a better shot than that, Brent. I really think they need to get that ball into Knight's hands, get him on a roll if they can.
Murray's rattles out. Day underneath, and it goes in. And it's Ray Springer with the jump shot. Back quickly is Credit. Foul against Dayton. That's on Knight. Meanwhile, LSU and Georgia Tech are deadlocked at 49. If you're not aware, in the early going, LSU streaked out to a huge lead before Kenny Anderson.
Fred, what happened on that play? Lindsey Howell was the fellow we thought went down, and now another turnover. Arkansas really picking up the tempo now.
They called a foul on Credit.
Yeah, they did. Coming over the back.
Dayton trying to take advantage of some opportunities. Robertson gets his own miss. Stays with it. Corbett. And Corbett helps out and taps it in.
And you'd say that this tempo is going all Arkansas's way, but you got to remember Dayton has won at this tempo. They don't mind playing a 100-point game.
Well, we're at 60-54 now with 14:10 to go.
But Howell has a great ball fake and head fake when he gets you at the top of the key.
Murray gets it back. 62-54. Great shot.
Murray's been doing a good job defensively, moving his feet much better than Bowers was at the beginning of the game.
Here's Corbett on the inside, got his man up in the air. Great block by Clinic. The crowd wanted a foul called at that end.
No basket.
No basket.
We're going to see the ball going down low to Corbett. Pretty hard to believe that nobody got any piece of the arm. You can see what happened on the way up. The ball was hit by the elbow, and I think probably a good no call. Both teams going to the bench, Brent.
Connecticut a winner earlier today, so they move on.
Brent, how about the interesting story in regard to the fellow that recommended Jim O'Brien for the job, Jack Ramsey?
Well, he's married to Jack Ramsey's daughter.
You know, it's kind of funny.
Get my son-in-law a job.
He is one of the fellows that I've admired as far as basketball brains in the history of the game, Jack Ramsey. I was speaking of him. He said, well, I gave him 5 names, but my son-in-law went to the top of the list. Now, I don't blame him at all.
Jack Ramsey, one-time great coach, guided the Portland Trailblazers to an NBA championship.
No, another interesting thing today, with LaSalle getting knocked out, Speedy Morris was Jim O'Brien's high school coach. So they came into the NCAA tournament having the longest win streaks at 22. Jim beat right behind him at 11.
Robinson.
They're going to the outside game, and they're forgetting all about Knight. That's a walk. Ewell and Miller pounding each other down in low.
Mayberry still cannot find the range. He hits threes better than 50% of the time. And Springer comes back with the runner tapped up and in by Robinson. Mayberry is now 1 of 9 for the game.
And I think 0 for 6 from the three-point line, Brent. That'll knock him out of that national lead. Howell understands the game so well at his position. Just doesn't make mistakes.
12.5 minutes to go here. 63-56. Robinson rebounding for the Flyers. Great move that time by Springer.
Springer taking it up. He's got one of the most unusual looking shots that I've seen. Nice comeback here by Dayton, not to be put away so easily. Of course, they've been part of Big Four history. The great team Donnie May went with to the Final Four. It was Kareem's first national championship.
Basket counts.
Now what's happening now with Credit and Miller double teaming on the inside, that big size really coming to the front. So this is arrested Miller. Credit is on the bench.
We're in Austin, Texas. This is the second of our Midwest region doubleheader, with the winners advancing on to Dallas for games next weekend. Already here today, North Carolina has ousted the #1 seed in the Midwest, Oklahoma. Beat them at the buzzer. Now Arkansas leading Dayton 65-58. Make it 66. So we've got a break at the 11:52 mark. And we'll be right back.
Man, what a day. I could sure use a vacation.
Yeah, I'd like to be right here.
Ice cold bugs.
Hey, maybe tomorrow we should bring the boss.
Nah.
Nothing beats a bud. Look out tomorrow. Here comes Pontiac.
The engineers who created the Grand Prix and endowed it with a fully independent suspension, a powerful, fuel-injected V6, and made anti-lock brakes available. Its designers blessed it with an aerodynamic profile. And now, to make Grand Prix an even better value, our accountants have added this.
Nothing's rougher on a man's face than shaving. That's why there's Skin Bracer. It's more than an aftershave. It soothes, cools, tightens pores, so it's good for your skin.
Thanks. I needed that.
Skin Bracer Aftershave.
By Men.
Li Chin of the Chinese National Airline uses Craftsman, hand tools that are guaranteed forever. The tools a lot of people buy because they know they can always return them. And some buy because they know they can't.
March Madness continues tomorrow. Games all day. We're in the second game here with Arkansas leading Dayton. We'll start off with St. John's at Duke out of Atlanta. Then a lot of you will see Virginia against Syracuse, Texas against Purdue, UCLA, Kansas. And then Loyola, Michigan, Xavier, Georgetown, Northern Iowa, Minnesota. And that bonus game out for the West Coast involving Arizona and Alabama. All on the road to the Final Four in Denver, Colorado in a couple of weeks. And Dayton is trying to get on that highway to Dallas. Howard underneath with a good rebound for the Flyers. But they turn it over.
Howard did a good job not pushing off on that play and then walked trying to get his balance.
Now in this pull-up. Dayton coming back.
Well, what
can do it defensively.
Great finisher is Day because he can pull up for that jump shot as well as take it inside. They've gone to a box and one now, wanting to make sure that Knight doesn't get off.
And Corbin lays it in for the Flyers, so it's an 8-point Arkansas lead at the 11-minute mark with the Razorbacks coming back now.
Nice move by Nolan Richardson. He realizes Knight hasn't been involved in the offense this entire second half. He wants to make sure, in case Jimmy O'Brien sets something up at that timeout, that he doesn't let him get involved easily in the offense.
From the left baseline, Day now starting to catch fire here with back-to-back field goals, and the Razorbacks open up a 10-point lead at the 10.5-minute mark.
Good block.
And it's Day.
Beautiful.
Arkansas busts out. And Day is on a roll now. He has hit all 6 of his shots here in the second half. Corbett under fire, and it's all Arkansas.
Brett, they just have superior athleticism. Everybody just a little bit taller, a little bit quicker.
This is the kind of team that Jim O'Brien would like to have someday up at Dayton. Same kind of system, aggressive, run and gun.
Bowers and Mayberry today probably haven't as down a game as they've had in a long, long time. Now, Mayberry is co-player of the year in the Southwest Conference. We see that great block by Day, and then he takes it on the break. Of course, Travis Mays, who was the co-MVP, didn't have a bad game to start things off for Texas.
Whoa, he lit up Georgia.
Yes, he did. Explosive player. Good pass. Miller does so many good things.
It's going to be an offensive foul. They push off. In that game, by the way, Chris Jackson scored only 5 points for LSU.
And if he's getting just 5 points, Georgia Tech's doing a lot of things to stop him, which should open up some things for that great inside game. Even though those fellows are young, O'Neal and Stanley Roberts, they're very capable.
Arkansas setting up its press. Brad's back to help out, and they knock it away. What Arkansas does so well, but right into the hands of the Dayton man.
Let's check this defense.
Foul against Arkansas.
This is the answer for Dayton. They've got to get the ball tonight.
They could have used Norm Greavy, especially late in that first half when they were looking for bench scoring. They're without their top scoring sub. Greavy averaging 9.8. He suffered an injury in the victory over Illinois, a deep hip bruise. He said one more day off and he could have played. He could have gone tomorrow, but not today.
He tried to run in the hotel lobby, he told me. But he said it's not just the bruise, which is open like a cut. It just goes all the way up to his back. He just can't bend over in a defensive stance. Looks like Clark Kent. Then we look at him in the street clothes with those glasses on, and he comes out in the court, plays with a bandit.
If he looks like Clark Kent, he better find that phone booth right now. They need it. 72-60. Arkansas, 8:55. And Billy, how did this one drain away from the Flyers?
Well, a couple of things I think hurt, and you got to go back to that first half, was that great run that Arkansas made when Dayton had them in a situation. They just weren't playing up to snuff. Officiating got a little wild and gave Arkansas the comeback. And since that time, I think their superior athletes and talent have just taken over. And Jimmy O'Brien trying to extol his club on. Went to St. Joe's College. You think of all the fellas having great years that have had association with that school. Paul Westhead, Jimmy Lynam in Philadelphia 76ers up in first place now.
Razorbacks can't do anything wrong. That was Hawkins with that jump shot.
Hawkins really showed some intensity in the first half on defense. Starting to swarm now. It's amazing the difference in the intensity of Arkansas in the second half and the way they started this game.
Knight. Hawkins rebound.
He's a 1-on-4. Smart move.
Doesn't like the numbers.
That's right.
But he'll take this one. Knight again. Dish to Corbett, and Hawkins was there. How quick the Razorbacks are. They get back, they got a hand on the ball, they knocked it out.
I admire one thing about Knight, and that is the fact that he has not tried to force things. I think his team forgot who he was and didn't get him the ball, but he hasn't tried to go and take things over one-on-one.
He's only 1 of 8, and he took some punishment in that first half off his penetrating moves. Tried to hit the jump shot, paid a price for it, and Arkansas has taken him out of its game.
1 of 8, Brendan. I think he was 1 for 7 in the first half, so he's only had 1 shot here in the second half. And there's that knuckleball.
Long pass for Hawkins.
Ball. Now, when you're up 9 and it's in the NCAA tournament, you don't throw that pass.
Arkansas does. 7:52 to go, and we'll be right back.
For 1990, some Oldsmobiles are new from the ground up. Others are new from the top down. Some have striking new profiles, while others have bold new side views. Some new Oldsmobiles are at home in front of mansions, and others are at home in front of everything else.
This is the new generation.
At BIC, we sympathize with the ways that you pull and stretch your face in search of a better shave. That's why we've created the BIC Metal Shaver. The patented BIC Metal stretches and smooths your skin thanks to its unique metal guard bar, so the shaver glides closely and comfortably. So instead of stretching, start reaching for a BIC Metal Shaver. It stretches your skin for a better shave, and that's no stretch.
The struggle for excellence is the spirit behind running a business. It's the only way to run an airline. At Northwest, helping you do business is putting us on the fast track. In all we do, we're striving to jump the line from the merely good to being great. Because being the best is the only thing we want to be.
Sunday isn't always a day of rest. Tomorrow, catch a triple-header thriller as second-round excitement continues. It's March Madness Mania.
Well, the sun has set on the capital of the state of Texas here in Austin, this lovely city of 500,000 folks. And inside the Frank Irwin Center, Midwest region doubleheader. The #1 seed Oklahoma ousted earlier by North Carolina. And Arkansas holding on to a 74-65 lead over Dayton, and the winners due for an appointment in Dallas next weekend. This is Nigel Knight with the jump shot short.
Just got into the flow. Boy, Miller's some target inside.
They hit the target, and he hits Fury, who takes it below, coming in. Score it and put him on the line.
Wes Coffey really did a good job keeping the ball out of Miller's hands on the first go-around, but couldn't continue. There he's trying to fight around that post. No chance. Miller with a great touch passing.
Number 35.
4 fouls now on Corbett.
This young man was Mr. Tennessee in basketball. Nolan Richardson loves Tennessee, loves Memphis. Just get me one out of there every year is what his goal is.
Larry French wants doughboy airplanes coming up from Arkansas. Lead pass out of Robinson. Coffey. And if you just joined us, here's a summation of this game. Dayton extremely impressive in the first half, but Arkansas has come back, and they have protected the ball much better against the Dayton defense here in the second half. And the Dayton shooting star has been struggling all game long. He's scored only 8 points, averaging almost 30 a game. An 11-game winning streak on the line for the Flyers. When the day began, that tied Michigan State for the second longest. Michigan State's already won.
You know, I think Oliver Miller may be as smart a postman as I have seen for a young player in a long time. You know, he really understands the game. He's almost like a field general in there. Passes the ball back out, knows when to throw it, knows when to leap. He just needs to take care of himself athletically. You got to take a look at fellow down at Georgia Tech, Dennis Scott, that got himself in shape.
About 10 minutes to go in that LSU game. And here on the turnover, because he was out of bounds, it'll go back to the Razorbacks. We've got 6:46 left in this one.
And Jim O'Brien may have to do something he didn't think he could do to Arkansas, and that is to go out and press them. Because he's in a situation now he can't afford to trade baskets. That has been the key in their great run. But he didn't want to press his team because he thought they had him physically.
And it's against Arkansas.
Not a bad foul by Hury, because on the other end of the floor, Dayton had a 3-on-1 break. There's Miller with his dunk. Tough shot, particularly with Cuffey right with him.
Nigel Knight at the line. 1-1.
Knight's stats on the year: 23 points a game, 80% from the free throw line, 51% from the floor, shooting right at 50% from the three-point line. Sensational season. And Brent, the league had some other outstanding players. Anthony Bonner from St. Louis, going to be an outstanding professional selection. Led the league in rebounding. Tyrone Hill, Xavier, we're going to see him before this tournament's over again.
77-69 Arkansas.
You can see they've stayed in this basic half-court defense the whole time.
Waiting for Mayberry to pop a couple of threes. Instead, it'll be Day. Missing. Knight off with the rebound.
Great
pass. Open man. And it's 2 for the Flyers. And Ray Springer takes the pass from Nigel Knight. And it's suddenly a 6-point game and a big defensive opportunity for the Flyers here. They trap in the corner and they send it back to Miller, and here's Day. The Razorbacks content to run some seconds down off the clock. 5:42 on the game clock. A 6-point difference. The opportunity has arrived for Dayton if they can do anything with it.
And normally you could surround this zone with Mayberry and Day, but Mayberry hadn't hit anything all day. Push.
Push underneath. And a break for the Flyers. Both teams are over the limit.
Here was Knight with a sensational pass, and look, over the head, two-hander, hit Springer for the layup. Well done. Jim O'Brien going back to that rotation. You know, I really admire his patience with this club when it looked like they're ready to crack.
Arkansas, with some admiration, calls a timeout. We'll be right back.
When you got it right, you got it right. Whether you're talking about this, whether you're talking about the one and only Diet Cola that does it for Ray, Diet Pepsi. You know, nothing tastes as good to me as Diet Pepsi. All right, now, who was the wise guy?
Diet Pepsi with 100% NutraSweet.
Now, that's the right one, baby.
The best laid plans of beagles and men often go astray. Check with your Met Life rep to make sure you have the right kind of insurance. Get Met. It pays.
Get into a new thing. Hot wings. Kentucky Fried Chicken.
You finally found a speed you can handle.
Hot
New
wings.
hot wings from Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Look out tomorrow. Here comes
Anti-lock braking systems. All-wheel drive. Fuel-injected multi-valve engines. Dent-resistant composite body panels. A turbocharged intercooled V6 engine. Only one car company in the world can put all this technology in one showroom. Pontiac, of course.
In Knoxville, Michigan State, the top seed, has advanced to New Orleans. Right now, LSU and Georgia Tech with about 7 minutes to go. And the amazing Kenny Anderson has led the Ramblin' Wreck back into a 72-69 lead. In the early going, it was 17-1 in that game, Billy. LSU out.
They had them down 17, and one thing you have to remember about the Georgia Tech club, it is not a very deep team, so that the numbers would favor LSU going down a stretch, at least from a fatigue standpoint. Tough miss by Coffey. Big steal.
Great steal by Ray Springer.
And he's been hot.
Misses the three. Out of bounds. What a golden opportunity for O'Brien's Flyers.
But here you can see the steal on the inside. And Springer's been the guy putting it back up. Both teams have not been able to go to Mayberry or Knight, the two hot hands.
Deflected away on the pass and out of bounds. Hit by Coffey. 5:06 to go. It is a 6-point Arkansas lead. Dayton having scored the last 6 points in this game to get back in it. Howell drops it into Miller. He pounds it in. Missed the shot as Coffey stayed right with him. Quick pass now to Robinson, who's alone, and Miller.
I think they're going to call
him. Are they going to call goaltending on the shot?
One official thought the other official called goaltending. The other official said he had it right on the ball. But they are going to call a foul.
And that's number 4 on Miller.
But they do have Mario Credit over there, so it's not like they are going to be caught as Dean Smith was in the first game without size. Great job by Coffey, and Jim O'Brien acknowledges it and stays with his substitution pattern. Here comes Credit in the game.
Here was Coffey at the other end on Miller. It looked like it was going to be an easy field goal, and Coffey with a spectacular block, and the Flyers have gone cold here at the free throw line their last 2 opportunities. Robinson now with 20 points, and he's cooled down considerably in the second half. Misses. So Arkansas survives a couple of forays, comes down with a 6-point lead, 4:45 to go.
Mayberry not looking for his shot at all.
Credit makes it an 8-point Razorback lead.
the big advantage that Nolan Richardson has. He can come back in with that kind of size.
Now Knight will try to shoot him back in with the three as he hits that one, making it 79-74.
Day waits on credit.
You know that Mayberry wants to hit a three before this one's done. But he steps inside and starts off with the two.
Now that could get him on track, build his confidence. Knight looking like he's ready to take over.
They ship inside. The jump hook gets the roll, and Sam Howard, the 6'8" junior, makes it an 81-76, a 5-point Razorback lead.
Give Mayberry some credit for confidence and also for his composure, having a bad day, not trying to force things.
Robinson coming out, fouled Murray. We're in the 1-on-1 here with 3.5 minutes to go. Tight in that one as LSU takes a 1-point lead. And now Georgia Tech has just tied it just seconds ago on a free throw. ESP, Billy. I just felt that free throw. You know, this is a big date in Dayton basketball history because on this date in 1984, Dayton upset Oklahoma. That was the Sooner team led by Wayman Tisdale, 89-85 in the NCAA second round. That was the great run by Roosevelt Chapman. That team was eliminated by the eventual national champion, Georgetown. Hell ball, and it's going to go over to Dayton. The possession arrow pointing toward the Flyers.
You know, that club, though, Brent, I think was more shocked that they moved forward. This team has an inner confidence that they feel they belong here.
Corbett under pressure. They get into the hands of Springer. Nails the three. 81-79. It's a 2-point Arkansas lead. 3:20 to go.
Springer has really picked up the slack. They're playing man-to-man and playing hard-nosed. They got out of their 2-3 zone.
Deflected by...
Hit Murray's hand.
Yes, indeed. Murray touched it. It goes to the Flyers. They can tie it here at the 3-minute mark or go ahead with a three.
And you know what else they have working for them? These Texas fans now all of a sudden become a home court advantage for Dayton, which they're used to taking advantage of.
They quietly watched this one for quite a while, savoring the first game. Now they're right back in the thick of things, and Richardson called off his press that time. Knight is the main man. He's number 32, awaiting the ball back from Springer.
Arkansas,
here he comes.
They're stretching that defense out.
Knight with a great pass to Corbett. We're tied. 2.5 minutes.
Great look by Knight. Everybody on the Arkansas team assumed that he would put up the shot as he looked at the rim and then dished down inside to his senior buddy, two-time MVP of this club. And Corbett not only hits the shot, but goes to the line.
Out of Dayton Patterson High School, Anthony Corbett now moving to the line. At 7:24, it was 77-65 Arkansas. Now we are tied at 81 with 2:30 to go. Knight has done a fabulous job of running the floor, handing out 11 assists here this afternoon, 81 all.
And Brent, I think that he has enough confidence, even though he hasn't had a big day offensively, to still take it over.
And Dade drains a three. 84-81, 2:13. Dayton's turn. Knight gives this one up. Now he takes it. Off the iron, rebounded by Robinson. The turnaround off to the side. Arkansas ball.
Day doing it on both ends.
Great pass to Howell, and he turned it over.
And Brent, look at the clock. 1:54 to go. You don't try to go for the kill here. You use some clock. Make sure you get the good shot. Arkansas not doing a good job in that respect. And Knight, I'm surprised, took that long a three-point shot. Penetration is the answer now for him.
Ewell and Howard down on the inside. Robinson on the outside, along with Springer and Knight. Knight with the ball. Ewell comes out to help him. They got to get it back into Knight's hands.
There
They
it is,
do.
penetration.
This time he jumps it off, and Howard takes one over everything. Not the man they wanted firing the ball there. 1:29 to go, and now bringing it up is Mayberry. A 3-point Arkansas lead.
And here's where they missed Greavy, their best 3-point shooter on that penetration. Normally would have been standing there to hit the jumper.
They're going to get Anthony Corbett back into this lineup. They need someone underneath. They could have settled for a 2 right there.
Sure.
With so much time to go. They didn't need to seek out a 3.
Howard actually stepped backwards to get behind the line. Straight man, Mayberry has not penetrated much today. Hadn't even looked for it.
Miller banging on the inside, wants the lob. It's off his hands. And it was hit by Knight off Mayberry. Dayton's ball. And Corbett returns for the Flyers. Now they're inside of a minute. They are down by 3. All eyes will be on Knight and what he wants to do here. He wants to go for the tie. He's got it. 37 seconds.
And use Ewell's screen. If you're Arkansas, you want one shot here.
They'll call the timeout.
Staring out there all day. What are you doing?
Trying to figure out which computer is the most powerful.
Well, that's easy. The one with the most memory, megahertz, MIPS, you know.
No, I don't think so.
There we go.
I think the most powerful computer is the one that people actually use.
Macintosh has the power to change the way you look at computers.
But that's not really a fair comparison. People like using the Mac.
Quiet down, please. The festivities are for Dwayne tonight. Dwayne, what's it been? 34 years? 34 years. All that time, I don't think Dwayne ever missed a delivery. I guess that means this division never missed a delivery.
Way to go, Dwayne.
Happy retirement, Dwayne.
Attaboy. Good
Now it's our turn to deliver.
Mass Mutual. We help you keep your promises.
Dayton and Arkansas are tied with 27 seconds. We welcome those of you who've been watching that great LSU-Georgia Tech game. This 3 by Nigel Knight has tied the Dayton Flyers with the Arkansas Razorbacks. Already in this region here today, North Carolina has ousted Oklahoma. Now in white with the ball, Arkansas. Last shot time, and Billy Packer, they've got a lot of weapons out there.
They're going into a 4 corners. Remember, Day is a fellow that you'd want to go ahead and take one from the outside, but I think they want Mayberry in penetration. Tell Miller to go up for the rebound.
This is Day with the ball. He is number 10. Swings inside with the top of the circle. Not there. Gets his own rebound and puts it in. 3 seconds to go. And timeout has been called by Jim O'Brien's Dayton Flyers. They're down a pair.
He's asking for 1 more second, but he only gets the 2.
Here is the basket. It was a great follow-up by Day on the inside. He'd had a quiet first half, but he came alive.
Brent, as I said, Day is pushing 6'9", and he can back you in from that guard position. You've got to play him out there because he's a great 3-point threat, and yet he can go ahead and get the offensive rebound.
Arkansas coach Nolan Richardson over on his sideline. Now that's something at this moment, trying to balance a little cup of water. That's pretty good. Nerves over there. Now Nigel Knight for the Dayton Flyers in the first 34 minutes of this game had 8 points. And then over the last 6 minutes, he scored another 8, and he's dished out 10 assists. Now, Billy, 2 seconds. not much time here.
Not much time. You can't go ahead and dribble it all on this play. It has to be a pass, get it up to the half-court area, and get off that shot. Certainly possible, but you can't afford to put the ball on the floor.
Been just a great tournament, has it? Northern Iowa with that marvelous upset. Ball State advancing. North Carolina.
Loyola Marymount story.
That's a great game, and all of you are going to be seeing the end of it as soon as the last 2 seconds here in regulation come to an end. Although, who knows, if Jim O'Brien can get a miracle here, we get into overtime.
I'm surprised that they don't have credit in the game as well to get some more size in there. They're going to run the loop, it looks like, here to get Nigel Knight the ball at... Here he comes.
Howard throws it up high. Ball is free. Arkansas advances. It'll be Arkansas and North Carolina with an appointment in Dallas. So here's our story today. North Carolina moving on to the next round, and they will play Arkansas. Arkansas survives 86-84 over a tenacious Dayton team. And the Chevrolet players of this game, Nigel Knight of Dayton and Lindsey Howell of Arkansas. With Billy Packer, I'm Brent Musburger. We hope you've enjoyed this one. Right now, let's send you to Jim Nance.